What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Universal Mastery. Welcome back to my channel. Now, if you are new, what I do here is I break down the occult sciences and I break them down to a very practical level so that you can simply use them and apply them in your day-to-day life and get real results with what it is that I speak about, simply by applying your observation and awareness. Okay, very simple yet very profound. Okay. Before we get started, let me give you some clarity on who I am. Once again, if you're new, my name is Jeremiah Schwartz. I am a professional occultist. I'm fully initiated in the entire Kabbalistic tree. I'm studied when it comes to the 22 major arcana of the tarot. And I'm also studied when it comes to planetary energies in direct association with astrology. Okay? So what is the topic of our today's video? Okay? The topic of our today's video is going to revolve around the SpiderMan movie. Okay, so for those of you that don't know, there is a SpiderMan movie that came out in the year of 2021, towards the end of the year. I believe it released on December 17th, if I am correct. I may be wrong, but I believe that's when it was released. This is a very profound movie. It has a lot of occult symbolism in it. It stars the old Spider-Mans as well from the previous Spider-Man movie. So literally all three of the old school Spider-Mans show up, or the two other older school Spider-Man show up with the present one. It's a very profound movie. I recommend you watch it. This is going to be a spoiler alert, so definitely make sure if you haven't watched the movie yet and you want to watch it, just be aware that in this video, this is going to be a spoiler alert. But for those of you that have watched it, you obviously know there's a lot of occult symbolism that is placed into this movie. So basically what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to share some of the occult symbolism and information that I saw within the movie that I feel like is worth speaking about publicly on my YouTube channel. Now, obviously, there's literally a lot of occult symbolism in this Spider-Man movie, mainly because it has Doctor Strange in it. And obviously, when Doctor Strange shows up, there's obviously going to be tons of occult stuff because he is an occultist. Okay, so I'm only going to be scratching the surface and sharing some basic occult programs that are in the movie. There's obviously a lot more, so I encourage you to watch the movie and see it for yourself. But if you're interested in hearing what I have to say in regards to what you can see in this movie Spider-Man that is connected to the occult and what it's literally meant to do in real life as a ritual that is placed in a movie, then you have come across the right YouTube video, so we're going to dive right in. Okay, so let's take a look at the most prominent pattern and concept that was placed in this Spider-Man movie. Okay, so the most common pattern that we saw show up in this Spider-Man movie was the Good Shepherd ritual. Okay, so I've said this over and over and over again on my YouTube channel. By now, for those of you that study my YouTube channel and have studied the videos where I speak about the Good Shepherd, you obviously have a very clear perspective on what this is now. And if you saw this new Spider-Man movie, you are clearly going to see everything about it is around and revolved towards this Good Shepherd archetype. Okay, so once again, very briefly, the Good Shepherd is someone who takes on the Christ archetype and tries to save humanity for the Elohim. Okay, the Elohim being an extraterrestrial, interdimensional species that likes to harvest human energy. Okay, so that's just the nutshell of it. So remember what I tell you when it comes to the Good Shepherd. Okay. The Good Shepherd saves humanity for the Elohim, and in the process loses everything good. Everything good, whether it's spiritually, energetically they lose things good, or if it's their own physical life. Okay, just like Christ, who was turned on by all his disciples. They literally lied on his name, pretended like they didn't even know him when they used to be close followers and they used to, they used to love him. And literally when it came down to it, when the pressure was on the table, they all lied on his name and basically turned on him. So that would be energetically losing everything good. Okay? Then Christ gets nailed to the cross and sacrificed physically. This is the physical aspect of being the good shepherd. Once again, trying to save humanity, Christ and all of his disciples going around healing the mass collective. And then the end result is getting crucified on the cross, sacrificed on the cross for the sins of the Elohim. Okay, literally for the sins of the Elohim. So obviously the Christ archetype, the good shepherd, is a program, occult ritual. It's a programmed occult ritual to literally feed these interdimensional alien-like species of beings that we can call the Elohim. Okay? So, you will clearly notice the entire concept based around this Spider-Man movie is based on being a good shepherd. Okay? You will notice the very beginning part when Spider-Man, not the original, but the main character of the Spider-Man movie, the younger one, the more new age Spider-Man, he is with his, I believe it's his auntie, that's basically his mother figure in the beginning of the Spider-Man movie. And she tries to convince Spider-Man that he needs to save the bad guys that are in the movie. So they have a group of bad guys that appear in the movie that come into the Spider-Man universe through the hidden gateway of Death, which acts as a portal to take the bad guys from their dimension and bring them into Spider-Man's dimension. And long story short, you have Otto Octavius, you have the Green Goblin, you have Mr. Electric, you have Sandman, you have Reptile Man, and I believe that's it. Yeah. There may be one more, but that's fine for now. So you have these bad guys, and obviously they are villains. Okay? Their nature is destructive. Okay? They're basically representations of demonic energy that now, having come into Spider-Man's universe, they are trying to destroy and basically become the rulers of that new multiverse. They're trying to consume using the power of destruction, okay, which is a demonic type of energy. So Spider-Man originally tries to save. He's trying to save these bad guys, and this is why they end up getting out of their cage where they were locked into by Doctor Strange. So Doctor Strange has this whole underground hidden dungeon that has these prison cells that have literally this invisible force field that can trap people inside. And originally he had these bad guys, these villains, in their cages. But then Spider-Man wants to save them, being the good shepherd. He wants to try to change them and save them. Very clear signs of a good shepherd. And what naturally happens is he lets them out of their cage without the permission of Doctor Strange, and even gets into a little bit of a tussle with Doctor Strange and ends up trapping Doctor Strange in a different dimension for a pretty long period of time while Spider-Man comes back to the physical plane where he lives in his dimension and starts freeing these villains from their cages. Okay? And this is all done in Times Square, New York City. That's where the movie was recorded. So, once again, the nature of these villains is destructive, and they want to rule. They want to take over. They want to consume and destroy and be rulers of the planet. So, that's their basic nature. So, Spider-Man, being the good shepherd, thinks that he can produce a certain type of, you could call it a formula, based on a certain science to design this type of formula that can change these villains, that can literally turn them from not wanting to be destructive, consuming energies, and then change them into being other types of good shepherds, or just quote unquote good moralistic people. So Spider-Man is basically on this journey of trying to save the villains, even though the villains are telling him they don't want to be saved. They want to be what they truly are. And the first thing that happens as Spider-Man's trying to save is obviously being the good shepherd, losing everything good energetically or physically. One of the villains gets out of hand. It was the Green Goblin specifically, and it ends up killing his aunt. And his aunt was even telling him that what he was doing was the right thing. She was basically encouraging Spider-Man to go and save these villains. She was encouraging him to be the good shepherd. And I believe she has reddish hair, making her the Scarlet Woman. And next thing you know, she dies. So her being the good shepherd trying to save Spider-Man caused her to die physically. And then for Spider-Man, who's trying to save the bad guys, and that's the main reason why they even got out of hand in the first place, he just lost the one person in his life that he loves the most, which was literally his aunt, which basically was his mother figure. So energetically, he lost everything good. She got the physical aspect of the sacrifice, and he got the energetic aspect of the sacrifice. So that is a great example of the Good Shepherd. Someone trying to save something that is not supposed to be saved and loses everything good energetically or physically or even both. And you see this repeat time after time after time again, literally in this one movie. Okay, so you'll notice there are so many different points in time where Spider-Man tries to save someone or something, and then something bad immediately happens right after that. So I'll give you another example. The other old school Spider-Man, the original Spider-Man from the first Spider-Man movie, at the very end, he tries to save Spider-Man from killing the Green Goblin because he was upset that he killed his aunt. So he's trying to take out his rage and his anger on the Green Goblin, literally about to stab him with his suit, with his flying thing that's sharp. Spider-Man was about to kill the Green Goblin, and then the old school Spider-Man stops him from doing that. He stops him from killing him and basically saves him from killing the Green Goblin under the scope of, this is not the right thing to do. This is not the moralistic thing to do. Trust me, this is not what you want to do. And then next thing you know, right when he stops Spider-Man from killing the Green Goblin, guess what the Green Goblin does? He stabs the other Spider-Man right in the back. So immediately we're seeing this instant result of what the Good Shepherd literally does to a human being in real life. Right when the old school Spider-Man tries to save the new school Spider-Man from killing the Green Goblin stabs the old school Spider-Man right in the back. Okay, literally piercing him. And this is just another example of the Good Shepherd. And then at the very end of the movie, you have Spider-Man, the New Age Spider-Man, has a choice whether he wants to just undo everything to send all the villains back to their own multiverse. And basically he has a choice whether he wants to do that or just keep everything going the way it is, where the villains are free and they're still in the multiverse where he lives. And he decides he's going to send them back. He's going to send them back to where they came from. And he needs to wipe the memory in order to do this process with Doctor Strange to send these villains back to their individual multiverses. Spider-Man literally needs to wipe the consciousness of basically the entire population, which includes his friends, his girlfriend, and even Doctor Strange. And Doctor Strange is the magician that's about to perform that ritual to send them back to their multiverse. But he makes it very clear to Spider-Man that this is going to happen. If you do this, if you send them back to their multiverse, another byproduct of that is everyone is going to forget this even happened, which is going to include everyone's going to forget who you are. They're not even going to know you're Spider-Man, and they're not going to remember your relationships that you had with them. So after Spider-Man spends the entire movie saving all these different villains, right? Literally saving them. Then at the very end of the movie, they get sent back to their multiverses after they were essentially saved. And then everyone forgets Spider-Man. His own girlfriend that he loved the most, besides his aunt that's already dead. His own girlfriend forgets him. His best friend forgets him. Everyone forgets him. So obviously, is that something you want to experience? Is that something sublime good? No, it's not. This is another product of the Good Shepherd. Okay? The end of the movie literally ends in a way that's like everyone forgets him. That's another sacrifice. That's energetically losing everything good once again with the sole purpose of trying to save everybody for the Elohim. Trying to save everybody but losing yourself in the process. Okay? And this is the entire purpose behind the Spider-Man movie being the Good Shepherd, mainly because the movie's release date being in December, I believe on the 17th. You can look it up yourself when the movie was actually released, but I know for a fact it was around the 17th. It was definitely before Christmas. The movie was released on that specific day in that month because it's supposed to help reboot the program of the Good Shepherd when Christmas hits. Okay, so Christmas, the holiday of Christmas, is based around Christ, the birth of Christ, which is what? The birth of the Good Shepherd. So it makes complete sense as to why these Illuminatis release a movie that is solely based on being a Good Shepherd, using one of the most powerful archetypes in the noosphere, being Spider-Man, to reboot the Good Shepherd for the multiverse, especially moving into a new year, 2022, and they released the movie very strategically right before Christmas, which is obviously another year where everyone worships the Good Shepherd. Okay? So long story short, this is the main reason why everything in that movie, the Spider-Man movie, which is a good movie. It's a very good movie if you actually watch it. I highly recommend you do. But everything about it is based on the Good Shepherd. And if you pay attention, you will see it in the movie. Every time he tries to save someone or something that is not supposed to be saved, being the villains, they don't even want to be saved. They even tell him in the movie. Excuse me, I clicked it. They even tell him in the movie itself, do not save us. You're not supposed to save us. Yet he still does it. And every time he does, he loses something good. He loses something good. Something bad happens, whether it's physical or energetic or both. Okay? And you'll see it happen over and over and over again in the movie. Okay? So that was a very profound thing that I recognized within the movie. And then you have the whole you have the whole battle basically between him and Doctor Strange. And Doctor Strange is obviously an occultist. And when he goes to perform that ritual to aid Spider-Man in him getting into, I believe, the college that he wanted to get into, I think that was the reason why he was doing the spell in the first place. He was doing the spell. Doctor Strange was doing the spell for Spider-Man in the first place so that people could forget that Spider-Man was actually who he was. So in the very beginning of the movie, you'll see that Spider-Man's identity gets revealed to the public, and then his life is never the same since that day because, a lot of people didn't like Spider-Man in the Spider-Man universe. It was like a mixed situation there. Mainly because the news was always broadcasting fake news. They were always trying to throw dirt on his name, which is another subtle truth within the movie. But long story short, Spider-Man gets in touch with Doctor Strange, and he tells him, I want you to perform this ritual to make everyone forget that I'm Spider-Man, except for a certain group of people, being his girlfriend and his friend. Okay, so as Doctor Strange agrees to do this, and he gets in his ritual setup, and he starts doing the ritual, Spider-Man starts changing his intent. He starts shifting it. He's like, okay, actually, let this person remember who I am. This person too. Oh, I want to make sure this person remembers who I am. And he starts doing this over and over and over again. And Doctor Strange tells him, look, you came in with an intent. I'm here to help you manifest that. You can't keep changing it as I'm in the midst of doing my ritual. And it basically gets to the point where Doctor Strange loses control of his ritual. In the doorway of death opens up a gateway to a different dimension. There's a crack in the multiverse that opens up the abyss, and then demonic forces start to basically come in to the real multiverse, the multiverse that Spider-Man currently lives in. So they come from other dimensions and enter into the doorway that Doctor Strange opened up to try to reverse time. And then they enter into the dimension where Spider-Man was in his universe. And that's how all the villains ended up getting into his universe, his multiverse. So, and then the whole process of Spider-Man dealing with these villains is literally him trying to save these villains. First, he has to capture them and then essentially trap them. And then he basically tries to work it out with them, with the villains themselves, that he's trying to save them. And it's a very strange way that they try to save the villains, because it's very similar to what looks like some sort of vaccination. Okay, it's like a little tube that originally he'll throw at the villain, and it will pop, and once they breathe it in, then they start thinking differently, they start having morals, and they no longer want to destroy the world and become rulers. But then you notice for the last villain, the most important villain, the Green Goblin, they inject him with the fluid as if it was like a vaccine. And this is just what I'm seeing in the movie. So that's another little subtle symbolism that actually correlates to real life right there as well. But I thought that was very interesting how they chose that. And obviously, with these movies, although they're very dynamic and they're very ritualistic, once you learn a certain level of occult sciences and practice, and then you start to see it within the movie itself, originally these movies are designed to cause effects on the observer that watches the movie in real life, in our multiverse, our real life multiverse. So these movies are causing real life effect in our multiverse. So there's going to be a huge surge of people that want to be more so like the Good Shepherd after that movie was created, because the movie was watched by so many different people, and it becomes extremely powerful because the movie itself was programmed to create good shepherds that want to save people, and that becomes a reality with the more people that observe and watch the video. It becomes a reality in our real life multiverse. So that was, the main concept was it's all based around the Good Shepherd. You see a lot of occult symbolism showing up from Doctor Strange. You hear a lot of truths. I mean, you hear the villains literally say that we do not want to be saved. Please do not save us. This is what we do. This is our nature. And Spider-Man still wants to be the Good Shepherd. And he's like, no, I can change you. I can save you. This is your average light worker. This is your average tree hugger. This is your average person that's in the spiritual field that thinks they're doing the right thing, but in reality, they're just good shepherds, and they're doing the opposite of what they actually think they're doing. What they're doing is they're helping the Elohim. They're helping this interdimensional species known as the Elohim keep their inverted multiverse running, because anyone that is a tree hugger and anyone that's a light worker, all you're doing is you're saving people that can't be saved. Only someone can save themselves. Okay? Only a person can save their own individual self. That's the only way you can do it. So you're always going to sacrifice yourself, whether it's energetically or physically, trying to save other people all the time. And that includes healing, using your psychic abilities to heal other people. Because imagine healing someone that's possessed by the Elohim or possessed by some interdimensional parasitic force, spirit, and all you're doing is healing that parasite. All you're doing is healing the ability for that parasite to suck more energy out, making the parasite become stronger and more powerful. Can you see how that's an evil act? Can you see how that benefits the Elohim that use the parasites? Can you see how that's doing the opposite of what you think? And it's obvious, like the movies are clear cut. What's being placed in the movies is clear cut. It's easy to see that these types of concepts and these patterns are meant to, in real life, harm you psychically and physically even. So to be like these characters in the movie and saving everything that is not supposed to be saved, saving the Elohim so that you can get sacrificed for their sins, because that's the moral thing to do, that's obviously something you want to stay far away from. Okay? Now, this is why it's so easy to see within, the lightworking community, the tree hugging community, and the white witches community, whatever the case is. This is why it's so easy to see that they're so wrong in their approach to spiritual self-development. They're so wrong, and it's okay that they're wrong. I'm not here to change them. I'm just going to tell them what they can expect in their near and long-term future if they're not already going through certain levels of pain, torture, and suffering right now, losing everything good energetically or physically, okay? So that's where I'm going to leave it. I think this video is long enough. There was definitely a lot of other stuff that was within the Spider-Man movie that I could talk about, and maybe I'll talk about in a future video. I'm not 100% sure. If there are other concepts that you want to hear about within that movie, drop down in the comment section and let me know. Try to be specific about which part within the movie you want me to talk about, and I will consider covering that 100%. But right now, I think this is the most important thing to cover in regards to the Good Shepherd, because this is literally why it came out right before Christmas time, and it's based, it was programmed to reboot the Good Shepherd for Christmas, because Christmas is literally the holiday that worships the Good Shepherd, Christ. Okay, so there's no coincidence that it was released on the day it was released. And now you can see within this movie very clearly, for those of you that can see through the veil that I've been clearly speaking about on my YouTube channel, how bad things happen to the Good Shepherd. So when you become the Good Shepherd, expect bad things to happen to you. And if someone wants to be a Good Shepherd, let them be it. Because when bad things happen to them, you can be the upline to what happens to them, as long as you're aware they're the Good Shepherd. Okay, you can take over the energy from them getting sacrificed so it doesn't go to the Elohim, rather it goes to yourself. Okay, this is called taking over the Elohim's technology. Okay, simple awareness is powerful. Observation collapses wave functions. Okay, so that's what I'll say there. Ladies and gentlemen, if you enjoyed this video, definitely hit the thumbs up. Also, come down here and hit that notification bell, because I post videos as often as I can. And with content like this, you obviously do not want to miss out. Okay? Hit that subscribe button, because I love to see my subscribers shoot through the roof. That's very important. Mainly because the more subscribers I get, the more this content gets out there, and that's exactly what I want to do. So definitely make sure, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, definitely do that. Okay? Now, if you know anybody that is interested in this type of content and you feel like they could gain value from it, please feel free to copy and paste this link and share it to any family, friends, or social media platforms that you may have. Okay? Let's spread this information like a wildfire. And once again, you have my full permission to do that. If as long as it's on my public YouTube channel, feel free to copy the link of any of my videos and share it to anybody that you think it would offer value to. Okay? Now, the next thing that I would like to take your awareness to is a link that is in my YouTube description. If you hit that drop down over there, if you scroll down, you're going to see a link that says Facebook Community. Now, if you want to be a part of a private Facebook group, then click that link and it will eventually take you to my private Facebook group where you can request to join. And once I see that you've requested to join, then I will add you in myself. And primarily what you will be able to do is find yourself in a group of people that are potentially like-minded as yourself. Okay, and you can post in there in regards to your occult practices, what you're experiencing, ask questions, things in that nature. Okay, so if that's something you're interested in, look at that link that says Facebook Community and request to join into the private Facebook group. Okay, the next thing I'd like to say is make sure you follow me on Instagram. Okay, I have my Instagram handle literally right down there, and it says Jer_477. So JER_477. That's my Instagram handle. Oftentimes you'll see that I post when I'm about to go live on YouTube on my Instagram, and I also have cool Instagram posts in general. So definitely make sure you follow me on Instagram. And I realized, throughout my YouTube channel and me making all these videos, I never verbally told people to follow me on Instagram, which is something that, I honestly should have been doing, but I guess I'm going to start doing that now. So make sure you follow my Instagram if you don't follow me on Instagram. Okay. We're spreading everywhere for Universal Mastery. Okay. And now this is the most important link that I want to take your awareness to, which is the first link in the YouTube description. So you hit that same drop down, and that very first link you see at the very top, that's going to take you to my Patreon. Okay. It literally says Patreon right next to it. Now on my Patreon, I have an entire vault of occult content that is not on my public YouTube channel. So this is all information, content, knowledge, and practice that is only for the Patreon, that revolves around live streams, revolves around blog posts, revolves around occult practices that I perform on camera, and I teach you and demonstrate how to do them properly. For Tier 3 and up, you gain access to an entire magic training course, which takes you step by step through a process to help you develop psychic power, which is extremely valuable for anyone in the occult field. And then for Tier 4, that's my top tier, which I call the Vampire Service, which is the only service that I perform on individuals that have the service, where I completely and permanently change your energetic structure to be more Universe B dominant, which means you can exist in dark energy and within dark matter energy, multiverses, and dimensions much more effectively. So naturally, what your energy field will do is it will pull in energy from chaos. I call it feeding on chaos, to increase your energetic body, to increase your power. Okay? And that's all offered for my top tier on my Patreon, Tier 4, Vampire Service, which is the most popular tier on my Patreon for that exact reason. Okay? So with that being said, I want to give a special shout out to all the Patreon members. I appreciate all you for taking your knowledge and your practices to that other side. Once again, Patreon link, first link in the YouTube description. Okay? Now the link right below that one is going to take you to where you can book a tarot card reading with me. Okay? It's the second link below. There, you can book your tarot card reading with me, where I can literally pinpoint where you are on the Kabbalistic tree, and I can tell you where you're about to be headed in your near and your long-term future. And I can also tell you what you're experiencing in your current life in the present moment, what you're experiencing, what you're going through, and generally what you're seeing around you leading into the near and long-term future, based on Kabbalah and the initiatory system. Okay, so if that's something you're interested in, definitely go ahead and book a tarot card reading with me. Just make sure you're patient, because right now I have a lot of readings that are booked from me. And what I do personally is I do one reading a day, because I want to make sure that my readings are quality. Okay, so just know that if you book a reading from me, it will take a little bit of time for me to reach out to you, but I will for sure reach out to you Just be patient, and you will be glad that you booked your reading with me. Okay? Second link below. Okay, now the third link is where you can become a YouTube member. And what happens there is you gain access to an entire emoji system that I've personally designed and created myself that is programmed for psychic warfare, which means you can use the emojis in a certain configuration to cause psychic damage to a specific target that you want. Okay? Now, I know that there can probably be some questions that come up for people that have not heard this or have used it before. So I have an entire YouTube video that's on my public YouTube channel that is titled, in parentheses, members only, followed by psychic warfare program. If you find that YouTube video, that once again is on my public YouTube channel, and you watch it, this will educate you in very much detail on exactly how this psychic warfare system functions. And it really does work. Okay? So if you would like to take advantage of it, look into the third link in the YouTube description. Okay? That's the YouTube membership link. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave it there. I appreciate you. And until next time, peace.